Hello OAS family, it is time for another book review, and this week we are reviewing a book called Joyful Insight by Chou Chen. So before we get into the details of the book, we're going to talk a little bit about the general statistics. The book is 11 3/4 inches high by 8 1/4 inches wide, and it has approximately 101 pages with text and titles in English and Chinese. So we have this book is basically a book on elaborate style landscape paintings. So this is the more meticulous style, often called a gong-bi or fine line. So that is what the book features on, and it does have a smattering of seasonal landscapes and also other types of landscape painting, but it's almost exclusively, it is exclusively focused on final composition landscape paintings in the elaborate style. So we're going to go ahead and get into the book here. We have a nice sort of table of contents describing to you all the different sections. So you can see here that we have these different sections here that are focused around the seasons. So it starts off in the first few pages with a smattering from all 4 seasons, just like a single representation. And then we have a section that is mostly focused on spring-themed landscapes. It transitions into summer-themed landscapes, and we have autumn, and then finally the winter. And then after it gets through the section on seasons, then it translates into other sections that are more themed after different ideas, different emotional moods. So we have this kind of section that's on the Three Gorges, and then we have this one which is on Yellow Mountain. So we have, again, 4 seasons, and then a section that's inspired by these very specific places in China. One is the Three Gorges, this section of the Yangtze River that goes through this area called the Three Gorges, and then Yellow Mountain, which is also called Huangshan. So we're going to get right into the actual book here. So we have now these 4 landscapes that are themed after different seasons, just to open up. So this one's called Spring Magnificence. And then over here we have this one called Red Cliffs. It's our summer themed landscape. And then we have the autumn here. This one's called Grand Canyon. And then this one on the right is called Snowy Mountain. So then we immediately transition into this idea of spring themed landscapes. So here on the left-hand side, this one is called Misty Rain Plum Blossom. And on the right, we have Memories of Mountain Pine. So we can see that these are these sort of early spring landscapes. You can still see that there's some ideas of snow as it is melting off of that landscape. Now we get into sort of like more later into spring, where the snow is now gone from the mountains, and you could see now the emergence of the colors of spring coming in through this one. On the left-hand side, it's called Early Morning Spring, and on the right-hand side, it's Pleasant Mood. And then here on the left-hand side, we have this nice piece, simple piece that's featuring these willow trees. It's called Fragrance Among the Willows, and on the right side, it's Pinnacle Among Spring Blossoms, which features this very interesting sort of downward traveling tree. This is kind of like an odd composition element, but I have seen these out in China quite a bit, these sort of unusual, like very thin mountain peaks that have these very strange trees growing off of them that are sort of angled in strange directions based on the positioning of the sun and whatnot. Okay, so then on the left-hand side here, we have a nice little stream featuring bamboo called Stream Tranquility. On the right-hand side, it is surrounded by red rain. And then on the left is Peach Valley in the spring. On the right-hand side, it's fishing boats in spring waves. And then Enjoying the Spring Melody on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side is one called Southern Spring. And then this is the last landscape of our spring section. It's called Tea and Incense. And then we're now transitioning into the summer themed landscapes. So here we have this really nice simple composition with a figure on a bridge. And then this is called On the Willow Bridge. And then on the right hand side, this is called Summer Leisure. Left hand side is Summer Freshness. Right hand side is Whispering of Summer Breeze. And then in the Shade of Willow on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we have Reflection on Lu Yin's poem, Song Dynasty. Both of these feature these nice little smattering of birds to give the landscape a sense of scale. On the left-hand side, we have Heaven's Path Up, and on the right-hand side, External View. Left-hand side is Sea of Clouds. The right-hand side is Deep Clouds in the Valley. And then the left-hand side is Clear Stream, Blue Sky. On the right-hand side is Sounds from Misty Valley. So what I find really valuable about books like these is they really give you a lot of inspiration when it comes to compositions. So each one of these paintings is very specifically composed, and composition, of course, in all painting is very important, but because landscape paintings is such, it's so dependent on like a sense of scale and a sense of balance that the composition becomes really important. And so it's nice before you get a sense of like your own creative composition to see some effective compositions and be able to mimic them. On the left-hand side, we have Floating Green After Rain, and on the right-hand side is Contemplative Mood. On the left-hand side is After the Summer Rains, and on the right-hand side is Summer Along the Streams. And then the last one to close out our summer section is this one here with this little waterfall, featuring this waterfall, and it's called Summer Fullness. And now we're getting into the autumn-themed landscapes. So here on the left-hand side is a painting called North Window Autumn Moon. On the right-hand side, we have Sea Wind at the Dusk. Very interesting ideas here with this like with this cliff that sort of juts out into the ocean with the waves, and then we have the mist off in the distance with this couple suggestion of these sailboats. Very unique composition here. Then on the left-hand side, we have Listening to the Pines, and on the right-hand side, we have Distant View of Heaven's Gate. Left-hand side is Pine Tree Speaking to the Setting Sun, and on the right-hand side is Autumn Retreat. On the left-hand side, we have Beauty Among the Autumn Woods. So we have these two figures here seated in this little alcove amongst the autumn trees, and then we have a stream off to the right. And then on the right-hand side, we have Red Reflection on the Water's Edge. So this very interesting sort of like tunnel through one of these waterside mountains. So on the left-hand side is Sitting in the Shade of Autumn, and on the right-hand side is Maples Turning. Some nice use of structures in both of these. We have this sort of like pagoda or temple here, and then this farmhouse here in this distance. On the left-hand side, we have tavern and temple, and on the right-hand side is autumn dialogue. Left-hand side is high mountain cliffs. The right-hand side is coolness of the autumn wind. Here we have a painting on the left called Cold Stream Fallen Leaves, and on the right-hand side is Late Autumn Silence. On the left-hand side is Going Home Along the Mountain Path, and on the right-hand side is When Autumn Touches the Lake. So seasonality is really important when it comes to all forms of art. You know, nothing influences the mood and the feeling of an artist like the changes of the season. So it's nice to see when an artist expresses the changing of the season, and it's good to study the way artists do it so that you can come up with your own way of incorporating the idea of the seasons into your work. So this last section is on winter, and it's called it opens with this painting called Fishing Alone. On the right hand side we have Winter Solitude. On the left, we have Lightness Falling. This really sort of interesting idea of this figure in a hut reading something by candlelight, and then the moon off in the distance with this sort of snowy waterside scene. And then on the right-hand side, it's reading the I Ching. So both of these have this idea of holding up for the winter, spending some time reading, and then having this idea of the environment on the outside amidst this activity. On the left-hand side, we have Crispness of a Winter View, and on the right side, we have The Weight of Winter. The left side is Frosty Mountains. On the right-hand side is Along the Icy Banks. This left-hand side, the painting is Frozen Mountain Peaks, and the right side is Winter Stillness. So now that was the finishing of the winter section, and then we transition now into the sections that are themed after the Three Gorges. So on the left-hand side here, this is the autumn moon above the pagoda, and on the right-hand side, it's Ancient Village, White Emperor City. On the left-hand side, it's Wu Gorge Mist, and on the right-hand side, it's Misty Rain in Fong Village. On the left-hand side, it's Magnificence of Quengate Gorge, and on the right-hand side, it's Goddess Mount. So on the left-hand side is Small Three Gorges, and on the right-hand side, it's Green Gradation in Wu Gorge. So for those of you who aren't aware, the Three Gorges area is this area in the Yangtze River that where prior to damming, it was just magnificent scenery because you had these towering mountain peaks, and the river is just like snaking its way through this gorgeous scenery with these very, very tall mountains and some of the most beautiful scenery in China. Since then, what's happened is they actually had a damming project that raised the level of the river significantly, which definitely affected the scenery in the Three Gorges area. But as you can see, it's still something that inspires. That's quite inspiring, and so here we have St. Ling Gorge Distant View. That's that painting, and on the right hand side, it's Village in the Mountains. On the left hand side, we have Lamp Shadow Gorge, and on the right hand side, we have Seclusion Amongst High Cliffs. So now we get into the final section of the book, which is Dreamscapes, the Beauty of Huangshan. So Huangshan is Yellow Mountain If you have traveled with my parents to China on their dream journeys before, you'll remember Yellow Mountain. It's one of the signature spots that they visit, and it is just a breathtaking scene and experience to be there, seeing these distinctly Asian mountain peaks that are set amongst this rolling mist. So that is kind of like the essence of Yellow Mountain, and we can see it here depicted in these paintings. So on the left hand side we have Magic Paint Brush Peak, and on the right hand side is Immortal Rock. The left hand side is Sailing Over the Pines, and the right hand side is the Immortal's Boot. The left hand side is A Beautiful Ocean View, and the right hand side is Bamboo Shoot Mountain. The left hand side we have this Magic Peach Rock, and on the right hand side is Jade Screen Inn. We have Heaven's Height on the left here, and on the right is Noble Pine, the Noble Pine. And on the left it's Sin Peak, and on the right is Three Fairy Islands. And then on the left hand side is Scissors Peak, and on the right hand side is Monkey Rock staring at the clouds. And then on the left is Zen Character Waterfall. And then on the right is Waterfall from the Sky. So that is it. That is Joyful Insight by Chou Chen. It is a book that is featuring elaborate style or meticulous style landscapes, and it is themed after the Four Seasons and then these two iconic areas of China. One is the Three Gorges and Huangshan. So make sure you visit our website for more information on this book or to purchase a copy of it. And make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, we wish you happy painting.